welcome to Tuesdays with Trailblazers. I'm your host Swastika, and today's guest is someone who's been ahead of the curve long before AI hit the mainstream. Prashant Puri, CEO and co-founder of AdLift, has spent over a decade helping brands go through data-led performance marketing. Now he's leading the charge in integrating large language models into mix, unlocking speed, scale, and serious ROI. You have been wondering LLMs are reshaping marketing strategy? From ground up, this one's for you. Hi Prashant, how it's going?
Good. Thanks for having me, Swastika. Good to be here.
Amazing. So Prashant, let's start from the impact. What are the key benefits of integrating LLMs into performance marketing? And more importantly, how are you seeing them drive measurable ROI for brands today?
So huge impact, right? Because what LLMs can do today is basically manage quantums of data and help you realize key insights and then, make changes on the fly. So we've seen leveraging, the likes of ChatGPT and Gemini in enhanced personalization, optimized targeting, customer insights, basically helping with your entire customer journey to make across omni-channel more personalized experiences with the data that we've actually been inserting into customized large language models. That coupled with the fact of actually creating more personalized ad copy and ads at scale. So we've seen Meta actually change from a more content and textual campaign perspective to a more AI model. So the more images that are targeted to different personas that you can actually create across your Meta accounts is the more click-through rate that you drive, which again results in higher ROI. So this has all been done through leveraging tools which either interface with a ChatGPT or a Perplexity or using them directly.
So one of the biggest promises of LLMs is scale without losing that personal touch, right? In your experience, how are LLMs revolutionizing the way brands scale personalized content across multiple channels?
So I think, rather than, manually tailoring content across each channel, that's where large language models, essentially come in to analyze various data sources, analyze various search behaviors. As basically, it's like as much of input you can provide, the more tailored your output from a large language model gets into creation of your campaigns. But this is where I would say, it also depends on the prompter or the person using these large language models, right? So I always give the context or the analogy of if I was to fix something in my car, I'm pretty sure leveraging ChatGPT, I'll make it worse, right? Because I don't know the intricacies of a car. Whereas if a mechanic, an expert gets stuck and then leverages a ChatGPT to fix the car, I'm sure that person would do a much better job. So you need to have that manual intervention. You need to have experts that are actually manning these tools and understanding how the likes of a Meta works, how the likes of a Google works. All of these platforms have come a long way from when they started. And if you don't understand how they work, then you cannot leverage large language models. So it becomes really critical for brands to scale personalized content, but also understand customer behavior, understand how these platforms work, and then leverage the best of both worlds to optimize and drive ROI.
I absolutely understand that. But there is some hesitation in the market, right? Some brands are watching this from the sideline, unsure whether this is just another, wave. Why do you believe LLMs should be seen as an essential tool and not just a passing trend? And what might companies risk if they continue to ignore it?
Yeah, so if you're currently sitting on the sidelines, then you're pretty much missing the tick at this point. And there are a number of different examples that I can dive into. Key area that I would actually dive into is just look at how the likes of ChatGPT and large language models have evolved in the last 12 to 18 months. Numbers suggest they now cater to about 7 to 10% of overall searches. If I fast forward 2 years before, Bing was at 2%, whereas Google was at 95%. So it took Bing 10 years to reach 2%. It's taken ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini 18 months to reach 7 to 8%. So the ramp up is massive, right? Search behavior across these two platforms, when I say two platforms, I mean large language models and Google, is very different. Google The average search query is 4.8 words, like 5 words. The average search query on ChatGPT is 24 words. So lots of times people say, is Google going to die? Google's not going to die. It's users are using ChatGPT and large language models in very different ways, which they could not use Google for. And you're creating new value, you're creating new customer experiences. So if you're not on these tools, if you're not driving brand visibility on a large language model, you're missing out. One key thing we've done ourselves at AdLift in the last 6 to 8 months is it's currently in beta, it's going into alpha, is our own tool called Tesseract. Now, what Tesseract does is it's pretty cool. We built APIs across 3 large language models currently, which is Gemini, ChatGPT, and Perplexity. We are further building it through DeepSeek in the coming months. And we also track AI overview brand presence. So across all these large language models, if you are, let's say, a Tata AIG, you're in the insurance space or you're in the banking space and you want to see, are you coming up for best insurance company? Are you coming up for best banking apps? The tool actually tells you whether you're showing up on ChatGPT, Perplexity, AI overview or not. That's actually critical, point in for brands to actually get in to see whether you're showing up or not. Like for Google, you currently have a lot of tools that will help you see whether you're ranking or not. But on large language models, there isn't. We've actually built that at AdLift, and we're now onboarding a lot of our clients for that. So again, this is a pretty long answer to your question. Yes, if you're sitting on the sidelines, you're definitely missing out.
No, it was not actually, it was very insightful. I mean, I was actually thinking to add up more. I mean, I was actually interested in that. But coming back to as powerful as these tools are, concerns are biased, right? So transparency, protecting brand voice are real. How do you approach those challenges when deploying LLMs across these campaigns?
So I think transparency can be achieved by, regularly auditing, reviewing LLM outputs. If you're building, I know a lot of brands are actually not putting their data on ChatGPT and Perplexity, but building their own large language models on the basis of OpenAI. So there are lots of options there to build your own customized large language models and protect your data. So again, saying, you know what, I don't want to give my data to ChatGPT or Perplexity, and I again want to, sit this one out because of, bias and, transparency and privacy concerns, you're losing out, right? Those issues can be dealt with by, having your own engineers create your own large language models. So there are ways to circumvent those pain points.
Okay, so now let's talk about the execution part, right? So how does using LLMs help improve operational efficiency, and how much can they actually reduce time to market for digital campaigns?
So I'll give you, I was recently at Vegas at a conference that I was speaking at called LeadsCon. And I was basically talking about, similarly to what we're discussing, which is brand visibility across large language models. And I was demoing a couple of tools at AdLift that we use. One of them is called Phrase. Now, if you check out, and I'll give, the viewers can, have a look at it. It's free to sign up. It's actually a pretty awesome tool. What that does is it creates content based on user intent. So back in the day, if I was to say, I want to do a campaign where I want to target users who are searching for blue shoes, and I want to do this for red shoes, yellow shoes, all the different colors, combinations that you can think of, I need to create like 100 different landing pages. It would take me, significant time and effort, like at least 5-7 days to get the content together. Development time will take another 5-7-10 days. At the easiest to create 100 landing pages would take me about 30 days. I'm talking about pre-large language models. This entire tool does all of the content generation, creation of landing pages, integration with HubSpot, CRM in a matter of minutes. I'm not talking about hours, right? So operational efficiency has, when used right and correctly, has massively scaled the way you can go to market. Test, learn, and correct. Because at the end of the day, the awesome part right in the beginning of digital versus traditional versus TV versus radio was metrics and data-driven marketing and performance marketing. Now with large language model thrown into this, it's just like, it's like a plethora of data. How you decide to use it and how fast you want to become efficient is all up to you. You're in the driving spot. So operational efficiency and reduced time to market is insane when using large language models.
So, Prashant, this is from my end, if you don't mind answering this. So, for someone who's not very familiar to LLM, I would want to know if you could break it down to me how it was different before the wave of AI, and how is it, now that there's such huge impact of AI in our life.
So, speaking from a marketing perspective alone, like I use ChatGPT myself and large language models for other than marketing, right? If I want to
Mhm.
find out some awesome sushi places around San
Mhm.
Francisco, I'll actually now use ChatGPT versus using Google, which I used to do before, because I can further dive into why and get reviews,
Yeah.
etc.
Mhm.
But just talking about marketing itself, like I mentioned, the time to market using ChatGPT or Gemini becomes massive. You can actually there are different verticals of digital marketing: SEO, performance marketing, in media management,
Mhm.
affiliates, social media. Like if you break down each of these, if you take
Mhm.
SEO as an example, you can find user intent for keywords in a matter of seconds versus actually going through a list of 10,000 keywords and figuring out how to bucket them. All of this ChatGPT does for you. You can then get in rankings, you can get in cost per clicks, you can get conversion rate, and ask ChatGPT to tell you which are the keywords that are driving higher conversions, right? Where I'm not ranking for on Google. I should be going after that. So synergizing efforts between SEO and paid search. Again, done in matter of minutes. Move on to paid search or paid meta ads. Creation of amazing ads using Rever, Midjourney can be done in a matter of minutes. I mean, you do need in-house folks to further refine images. Images are not where they should be. But if you have the right resources, again, you're cutting down on a lot of time of creating videos, right?
Mhm.
Speech to text, text to speech, all of this done with the help of AI. So I think before and after, there's a huge difference between, efficiencies, reduced time to market where we were and where we are currently.
Thank you so much for answering that. I mean, this was something that came from my end. Finally, for CMOs and brand leaders who are evaluating the move towards AI, what's your advice? Where should they start? And what should they be looking for when they are integrating LLMs into their marketing stack?
So I think the best way CMOs can do this is rolling up their sleeves and getting into it themselves. Typically, what happens is, as a CMO, and I can understand, you've got teams that you're managing, teams of 50, teams of 5, teams of 100, and you start to delegate, which is fine, right? I mean, depends on where you are in the whole CMO realm. Again, as a CMO, you would want to understand where to steer your team in, and if you don't know where to steer them, they might be going in all different places, right? So they need you as a leader. The only way that can happen is take courses on your own. There are lots of great courses on Udemy, Khan Academy. Like, take some starter courses to understand the impact of large language models and marketing, so that as a CMO, you can be a leader and you can steer them in the right direction. And then set up, I would say, an innovation AI team, like maybe 2 people, maybe 3 people, where all they're doing is, here's the task X, how do I make this faster? These are 3 tools that I've tested out this month. This is one tool that I want to actually go enterprise with. And that's it. That's all that team does, right? If you're a really large organization, look at building your own large language model with the existing, open source options available. So I would say done to do, but self-learning, rolling up your sleeves is critical. And then obviously setting up an innovation team would be beneficial.
Thank you so much, Prashant. This was incredibly insightful. Thank you for breaking down it so clearly. This conversation has been really like something that enlightened a lot of things that I had not known about. But I'm sure that our audience will get a lot to learn from this. Thank you so much for joining. And this is your host Vastika signing off. Watching Tuesdays with Trailblazers. Don't forget to subscribe.